This video will cover boolean variables, variables that can be either true or false. Later on in this video, we are going to use this code, the content of which we developed in the last video about making a button and using an integer variable to make the contents of the button, or the actions of the button rather, stay on screen or continue to happen even when the mouse is no longer pressed down. But for now, we're going to go to a new editor window and talk about Boolean variables. We have talked about a few Boolean variables that are built into processing, two Boolean variables to be exact, that are built into processing that we've used with conditional statements. As I'm sure everyone remembers, those are mouse pressed and key pressed. And while mouse press and key press are used both as names for built-in methods, I'm talking about the ones that we use in conditional statements. So if mouse pressed equals true, or just if mouse pressed and the equals true part is implicit or implied there. So you could just say if mouse pressed. And so, of course, the two possible values of both mouse press and key press are true and false. They can only be true or false. And obviously mouse press is true when the mouse is pressed down, false when the mouse is not pressed down, key press is true when any key is pressed down, and not true when a key is not pressed down. We can also make our own Boolean variables. So again, this is one of those situations I'm going to do something that seems completely purposeless, and hopefully it will gain meaning as we continue to develop the program. So I'm going to start with just set up and draw like usual. You can follow along, you should follow along. And size and background. And I can make my own Boolean variable and declare it by saying Boolean. And let's call this, I don't know, let's call it clicked, like the last video. I'm going to say Boolean clicked, and I'm going to have it start out as false. So I can declare and initialize it in one line like this, or I can say Boolean clicked, and then here in setup I can say clicked equals false to initialize it. It's a global variable, you can use it anywhere. So when the program starts out, the variable clicked that I just made, I could have called it anything. I could have called it Aaron. I could have called it, any nonsense word. I'm calling it clicked. So when it starts out, clicked has a value of false, and maybe the first time draw happens, I just say clicked equals true. And if I run that program, nothing happens at all, because all I've done is take this variable from false to true as soon as it runs, and nothing happens. So let's see, I could change a little bit. Maybe I'll say, okay, I don't want it to become true initially. I'm going to put, again, I've closed the curly bracket and draw, and down here I'm going to have void mouse pressed, the method, not the Boolean variable, the method mouse pressed, and maybe then I'll say clicked equals true. So now if I run this program, clicked is false, clicked is false. If I click the screen, now the variable clicked is true. And I can actually demo that if I want. I can say text. And again, if I put a variable as the first parameter of my text function, then it'll just display the value of the variable, and I can put it 250, 250. So when oh, it's not going to let me put a value that's a Boolean variable in there. Oh, wow. Okay, so you're just going to have to take my word for it then. That's funny, because if it were an integer variable, we could absolutely display that, but it's not going to let me display the value of a Boolean variable. Interesting to know. You're just going to have to take my word for it. When I run this program and it starts out, clicked is false. As soon as I click the mouse, it becomes true, but it's not doing anything. So let's make it do something. Let's have, we'll write if clicked equals true. Then let's make, I don't know, a red circle. So red, ellipse, 250, 250, 100 by 100. So I've closed that conditional statement. So now clicked will start out false. If clicked happens to be true, a red circle will appear, and clicked becomes true when the mouse is pressed. So now, if I click, a red circle appears because clicked is true. If I let go of the mouse, the red circle stays on the screen. That wouldn't be true if I just said, for example, I'm going to comment this out for a second and comment this out for a second. And if I said, for example, if I just put the red circle down here, then the red circle is only going to show up once every time the mouse is pressed, so it won't stay on screen at all. And if I had an if mouse pressed, if I use the boolean variable if mouse pressed, then it would only be on the screen while the mouse is being held down. But by changing the value of clicked from false to true and not changing it back anyplace, so now it's true forever as soon as I click. There's nothing to make it become false again. Then this red circle will stay on screen forever.